the Chalke History Festival special series on history with Jackson. So hello and welcome to Chalke History Festival special series here on History with Jackson, where we will be speaking to some of the minds behind the festival and some of the speakers who will be appearing at the festival to give you a taste of what Chalke is like. Now, Chalke is known as the Glastonbury of history festivals, and we cannot wait to head down to Wiltshire to cover the festival in June. Now, tickets are available in the description. We'll host the link for that. And without further ado, we will leave you to this fantastic episode for you to get an even bigger, your first taste of what Chalke is going to be like this summer. So hello everyone, and welcome back to the podcast if it's a time that you're returning, and welcome to the podcast if you're listening for the first time. Now, today we are welcoming Chalke History Festival's Programme Director for Living History and Events, Laura Bailey. And Laura and I are going to talk about the festival, living history, performance at the festival, and so on. So Laura, how are you?
I am very well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
That's completely fine. I am so excited for Chalke this year, and I'm so excited to talk about the living history and events programme that you put together for this year's festival. I'm so excited for it.
Me too. I think we all are. There's such a varied programme, so many brilliant living historians, performers, speakers involved. Loads to talk about. We could be here for hours.
Exactly. I've been looking through the website and the programme to prepare, and there's just so much that I'm looking forward to. But the first question I want to ask you is more about yourself, really. What inspired you to work in the history industry and more specifically with Chalke History Festival?
So I've always been interested in history from a young age. I was the one reading the Roman mysteries. I used to read lots of kind of classic literature, historical fiction. And I studied history and French at uni, carried on, just completed a PhD in medieval history. So I'm a real academic historian on the one hand. I had some brilliant tutors. Shout out to Alice Taylor and Lisbeth van Hout, who are my medieval historian mentors. But I've also always been really passionate about public engagement with history. So for the past few years, I've been volunteering with places like the Museum of London, Handel House Museum, different organisations to do with learning programmes, history engagement. And I started volunteering at Chalke over 10 years ago. I came to a festival, saw that there were volunteers there and thought, I would love to do this. It's such a great event. And I started volunteering and I never left, basically. So I gradually took on more responsibility. And this year have become programme director for the living history and events side of the programme.
That's awesome brilliant. That it can, it really is, combining your personal interest with things that you academically enjoy as well. I think you can't get much better in life, really, and for a job.
Yeah, exactly. I feel so lucky to work for such a unique event. I think as a history student, you never think that this could be your job. So I feel so lucky, and to have been involved for such a long time is really special. And it's a really wonderful team, both of staff, but also of volunteers who come back every year, and we really could not do it without them. And so I feel very, very closely part of that team.
And it's nice to see that team, family, community aspect with Chalke. But Chalke's undergone a rebrand this year, a rebirth. It used to be Chalke Valley History Festival. Now it's Chalke History Festival. There's new visuals, new colours. What has excited you most about this rebrand?
Yeah, it's a really exciting rebrand. So we've been working really closely with Bloom and Connect. They were really helpful for their support on it. And it's almost bringing Chalke into the 21st century in terms of its colours, its logo, and it really reflects that dynamic element of the festival. The fact that it's exciting, it's dynamic, it's relevant, and I'm really excited about reaching a broader audience through the rebrand, really showing people that it's an event for everyone. It's not just a small event in Wiltshire. It's something that has this kind of national, international reach, and hopefully it can just help making history more accessible to everyone.
And that accessibility point is massive, because you have had historians from across the world. I mean, Frank Dakota came from China last year, so it really is an international event. But some people listening to this might not have heard about Chalke History Festival. So what is Chalke History Festival firstly? What is it all about? And you've talked about one of those aims of accessibility, but what are the aims of this year's festival specifically?
So this year we've really been thinking about this idea that history is all around us. It's not just a sequence of events, of things that happen. It's something that shapes our present. It's something that helps us navigate what's going on in the very complex world that we live in, both in politics, society, culture. It really informs us and helps us think about who we are, what's going on, what happens, what could happen in the future. So we've been really trying to tie together those strands of past, present, future. And that's one of the things that's really worked into the programme this year. My colleague Charlotte Casella, who looks after the Talks programme, she's done an incredible amount of work on creating a really relevant programme that digs into debates around what's going on, what's the historical context for it, what can we learn from history. So that's one aspect of what we're thinking about this year. But also we're really passionate about engaging with history in different ways, not just talks. And that's where my side of the programme comes in, with the living history, the performances, experiences. And it's engaging with history in accessible, exciting ways that might make it easier for children, families, schools to be involved. And that's obviously another really important part of the festival, is our festival for schools. So we have 3 days of educational content that go on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and produce a series of talks, discussions, living history, immersive activities for school kids. So we're really, as part of our charitable mission, we're really keen to promote the understanding of history to schools and to help support schools in coming to the festival as well.
Well, that was going to lead on to my next question, really. I mean, personally, as when I was a kid at school, I would have loved the opportunity to come to something such as Chalke. So why is it so important to bring kids and school kids into Chalke to have them experience what this festival's about?
I think you're completely right. I mean, if I was a school kid coming, I would love it. I think for a lot of school children, they might be daunted by studying history. A lot of the kind of exam-based content, you're driven to thinking about dates, learning lists of kings, and you lose track of that human element of history, and also of the kind of sensory aspects of history, how something smells, what it tastes like, what it's like to really experience something physically. And that's what a lot of this schools program does, is it allows the students to access history outside of the textbooks, but then also obviously to hear from top historians, top experts that they might not get in their schools. So hopefully it provides a really helpful resource for teachers, but also for students. And we welcome home educated students as well, so for parents who are looking for help there as well.
I really like that focus there on the sensory aspect, the physical aspect of history, because I think a lot of time kids sit in the classroom and they can't conceptualize what certain things were. What was the clothes like? What was the food like? It's one thing learning about it, but it's another thing tasting it and seeing it being made. So what kind of living history experiences have you managed to get booked for Chalke this year? Because last year, the whole festival was alive with the sights and smells of not only medieval history, but more modern history as well. And I think I was intoxicated by some of those smells of food. I love food, for anyone listening. So the food smells something that just intoxicated me. So can you tell me tell us some of the experience, the living history experiences that are going to be there?
Absolutely. I'm exactly the same with the food as well. So completely agree there. Well, we've got living history ranging from Iron Age all the way up to Cold War. So a full span of history covered. We've got people like the brilliant Caroline Nicolay, who is based in our Roundhouse, our Iron Age Roundhouse, and she's working on Iron Age construction methods and thinking about local materials that are used and how that might then influence modern kind of renewable materials and construction. We've got Tom Timbrell from Heritage Blades creating Iron Age swords, which is going to be fantastic, and doing smelting on site. So we're massively excited about that. That should be really dynamic. We've also got historical equitation coming back. They ran our joust last year, but this year we're looking at 17th century horsemanship So that should be quite spectacular, show-stopping, but also a really interesting insight into the culture of the 17th century and the importance of horses and kind of mounted military activity in terms of the social sphere. So that should be fascinating. And then we've got kind of coverage going up into more modern periods. We've got lots of great Second World War content. We've got our trench experience back, SOE training camp. So all sorts. It's a massive, massive program, but really exciting.
I mean, I'm super excited to see them and experience them. Now, the Iron Age and the medieval experiences, living history experiences you have there, they're so important to helping young people understand history. But some people might think, well, Cold War and World War II is within living memory. So how is the living experiences that we have for Cold War and World War II, how can they help visitors who aren't of school age and school age kids help to understand history even better than they already do?
So I always think there's a kind of common misconception about what living history is, and that living history is just about people liking to dress up, or to wave swords around, or to play dress up and drink mead. But I think it's a really, really important kind of avenue of historical inquiry, and the fact that you can learn a huge amount from practically living in history in the way that professional living historians do, in a way that you really can't just from looking at documentary sources. So whether you're blacksmithing something, or you're trying on the uniform, or physically making something, you can learn things about what tools were used, what materials were used, the weight of carrying a pack, or all of those very detailed physical experiences that you just don't get, or that pure academic historians don't always or aren't able to access from the kind of sources that they're looking at. So I think living history has that really valid historical investigative purpose. And then it also makes people reflect much more on the human element of history, and seeing how people physically experience things. You can see yourselves far more in their shoes with that human element.
I think that's a lovely answer. Seeking to correct misconceptions that we might have about living history, but also to get them to reflect on the human element. I think that's something that Chalke does really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you're able to do that even more this coming year. But can I ask, what is the living history experience at Chalke this year that you're looking forward to the most? I know it might be asking a big question there.
That's a very tough question. That is a very tough question indeed. We've got our brilliant heritage craftspeople coming back. This is a group who last year did our arrow production line, and this year they're going to be recreating an Anglo-Saxon burial chamber. And so there was a discovery at Prittlewell of a princely Anglo-Saxon burial, and they're going to be throughout the week recreating different objects found in the grave goods in that burial. And they'll be using their modern heritage crafts skills, and they're all professional craftspeople today. They'll be using those to recreate these grave goods, and it'll be a really, really interesting way of seeing the techniques, the skills, the tools. And then by the end of the week, we'll hopefully have a full burial chamber full of goods, and we'll see that progression throughout the week. So for someone like me who'll be there every day, it's going to be really exciting to see what happens at the end.
I mean, that sounds absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see that come together and be something that people can experience as well.
I mean, another thing that I'm so looking forward to is on the Sunday, we're having a historical banquet in our dining tent, which, as I'm sure you'll enjoy this as well as someone who's into food. So this is put together by Alex Compiani of the Time Traveller's Kitchen, who's also going to be looking at the history of pie at his stand, which will be great as well. But this banquet, it's a meal that takes you from the Dark Ages up to the Georgians, with each course focusing on different historical recipes. And then it will be peppered with historical insights from Alex, but also from Dr. Annie Gray, who's going to be coming and joining for that event. So that's going to be really, really exciting, and a chance to literally taste history.
I mean, I'm
Signing
Already
up.
salivating. Yeah, I'm already salivating the prospect. I love pie. I love banquets. So
What's
that's
not to
everything
like?
for me. Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of things that people can get involved with then. So how many of these events can people actually go and get involved with and have a go at themselves?
Yeah, so we've got quite a few events specifically designed as have a go events. Some of our events, like our SOE training camp, our trench experience, and also we've got a new Victorian Wild West experience, which is designed to kind of probe into Victorian Britain and the enormous cultural influence that Buffalo Bill had in the kind of late 1800s when he brought back his Wild West exhibition. And that's designed for children and families to have a go at things like axe throwing, sword school, pistol shooting, all very safely controlled, but also great fun and very interactive. So we've got lots of those experiences, which are kind of add-on ticketed experiences to have a go with. And then we've also got things like we've got our Story Stop Children's Tent of Surprises, which has historical dressing up, quizzes, crafts. We've got a wonderful selection of crafts over the weekend. So things like making your own ruff, making your own Victorian love letters, all these kind of hands-on crafty activities, which are great fun for families and children. But also I'm very tempted to make a ruff. I think it would be great walking around site with a full ruff on.
I think you've tempted me on a few of them as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm really excited to get involved with them. But I think it's nice that there's a family focus on some of these events and that families can actually come to Chalke and experience it. It's not just somewhere where there's talks which kids might not be interested in.
We really try to offer something for everyone. So you can come and listen to the top historians, the top politicians, technology experts, all sorts. But then also you can come with your kids and have a great time. And obviously we've got all of the food, the music, all of these festival elements. So it's not just a serious conference, it's a full fun festival at the same time.
And you've given me a perfect segue. You're a pro at this at the moment. So you've given me a perfect segue to my next question. Really, is music is such a huge part of history. I don't think a lot of us appreciate how big a part it is. But music is going on at Chalke. So how have you managed to build music into the program of events, and what music can people expect to hear?
Yeah, no, music is it's a massive part of history, and I always like to think we're the Glastonbury of the history world. But we have live music every night at the festival, and so in the evenings, in the breaks between talks, we have live music going on, and we try and cover a range of different historical periods and styles in the music. So we have folk music, a band called Ribble who do acoustic folk. We've got music from the 60s. We've got a vocalist, Charlie Greenwood, coming this year for the first time to do the kind of swinging 60s sounds, which will be great fun. We've got Trip for Biscuits are coming back, who are a brilliant band who do 1920s kind of mixes of modern songs, which is great fun, very glamorous, great to dance to. And then on our Saturday night, we've got our big D-Day dance. And we've also got the Swing Ninjas coming, doing 1940s swing music with dancers from a group called Shagpile coming. So hopefully everyone will get involved, get their dancing shoes on, and experience that cultural side of history. And then we've got music from the Polka Dots after that. So it's a full evening party, which should be great fun.
Well, I loved listening to that music and those parties that were going on at Chalke. It was such a good way to kind of kick back with everyone after a long day. So
yeah, no, I love the fact that in the evenings especially, the site really comes alive and you start to mingle with the living historians, all get involved. You see Iron Age people drinking with Second World War trench soldiers. It's a bit mad, but it also, I think it really kind of emphasizes how Chalke is that hub for history lovers. And you can talk, everyone talks to each other. It's a real kind of community and you meet so many interesting people. And that's one of the things that I really love, that people aren't afraid to chat to each other and share their passion for history.
It's quite surreal, actually, watching
It is.
people from the Iron Age drink with people from World War II. So
we're really connecting the past and the present.
And I think that's what Chalk's all about, really. You know, you're connecting the past and the present, applying history in so many different ways. It's a really great event. And as I asked about the living history, which music are you most looking forward to listening to?
It's like choosing your favourite children, isn't it?
Well, yeah, no, I think that's the best kind of questions.
Yeah. I think I'm looking forward to the D-Day dance. I'm not promising anything, but I am tempted to get dressed up and get swing dancing. I think that will be great fun. We've also got ABBA's Angels, who are an ABBA tribute band, coming on Friday night, which is a real first for the festival. We haven't had a tribute band before, but should be brilliant fun. And I don't know if you can call ABBA history. They're still incredibly culturally relevant, but I think should be great fun, and also a reminder of how the past and the present are infused. But I'm not going to be wearing any spandex for that, or platform shoes.
I think that was a lovely answer. I mean, I was waiting for you to mention ABBA's Angels. You know, it ties in really nicely with this year's Eurovision. I think it's a great one.
Are you going to be getting dressed up? That's the main question.
I'm not a dress-up kind of person, unfortunately, Laura. I don't think I'd look very good in spandex, but that's another time. So this year for Chalk, obviously, it's going to be an awesome event. We've got so many speakers coming, so many living history experiences, so much music going to be there, food, banquets. Obviously, people can tell I'm really looking forward to that.
You're making me hungry
but
now.
Well, it is lunchtime, kind of late lunchtime. But how can people grab tickets for Chalk? How can they go and experience these things for themselves?
So if you head to our website, chalkfestival.com, and there'll be a link to buy tickets there. Our tickets go on sale on the 22nd of April and are released to friends and Plantagenet members this week. So all our full programme will be on our ticketing website, and you'll be able to see the host of talks, performances, living history, and all of that on there.
I definitely implore people to go and buy tickets, because it is such a great festival, and I've learnt so much from it, and I'm really looking forward to going again.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm very happy that you'll be there, and hopefully we'll have lots of new audience members too.
Well, hopefully. But now I've got a final fun question for you, Laura.
I know.
What is your favourite thing that you've seen, heard, or learned at Chalke History Festival?
Again, another difficult question. I think one of my favourite memories was a couple of years ago. We had a wonderful choir called Vox Holloway come to the festival, and it was a weekday evening, sunset going down, and they performed excerpts from a musical called Freedom Song, When Gospel Came to the Empire. And it was a musical performance of traditional gospel music, and it was such a magical moment, sat there in beautiful Wiltshire countryside with the fire pit, the light going down, and hearing this historical music and feeling yourself transported through the music back in time. I think that's probably my favourite thing I've experienced.
I think that's a lovely answer. I think that's a really, really nice answer. I think it encapsulates everything that Chalke is, really. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, well, thank you. It takes me back.
That's all right. Now, if people want to keep up to date with Chalke, follow Chalke online, what can they do? What can they go away and follow? What can they go away and look at? So
we have regular updates on our website, on our Facebook page and our Instagram, and it's all Chalke History Festival. So hopefully you should be able to find us fairly easily, and we'll be updating the website over the coming weeks with more and more details of the programme. And then crucially, when is Chalke as well? I think that's a big question that everyone will be thinking about right now. No, made me worried that I'll get the dates wrong now. It's the 24th to the 30th of June, 2024. So I think everyone should put that out on their calendar. I'm going to be there. You're going to be there. So I think it's going to be a great week. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to it.
No worries at all. And thank you very much for coming on and telling us more about Chalke on the podcast. So thank you, Laura.